Oh, it doesn't open up all the columns. Okay, so just open up the columns there. So quantity per measure. And the next one is count as.
Do you want me to show all?
No. Well, I just wanted to open it up, but that's all right. So it's quantity. Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So count as 1 on receipt.
Mm-hmm.
When will that not be ticked?
We can find the item with that example, but I will say that it is always used as 1. But you have the possibility to print the number of items when you are selling, when you're creating a transaction on the POS.
Yeah.
You have the ability to print the number of items on that transaction. So I would say,
it's there as an option. I'm just trying to think of a use of it. That's all I'm asking.
Let me check if there is an item with this setup, and we can just go from there.
Because sometimes they have
this one, because it's lower than the unit, or is higher than the unit. You see?
Oh.
And on the receipt, when you sell this item, you're selling medium cup, but on the item is not going to show you 3.2 items sold or something like that. So it's going to say 3 items sold.
Okay, no, that makes perfectly sense. I now understand why that column is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never used this, I have never used this in all these 12 years or 13 years.
But that makes perfect sense because they also do coffee. Yep. So a medium and large cup is obviously a different amount of coffee, therefore a different amount of beans being used. So yes, that's perfect. I understand that.
Exactly.
Okay. So usually it's not ticked because it assumes that it is 1, and you only use that field if it is a different unit of measure that you want to count it as 1.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Print shelf label. That's okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I just closed that.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Oh, no, this is not the one. It was the other view. Sorry. Close this. I don't know why my virtual machine is like a little bit slow. This one.
Yeah. So print shelf label. Text. All right. So you can put a different text on the shelf label, which would be different to the description.
Yep. You can do that. You can print a different description.
Okay. POS selection.
This is to allow the user to pick the unit of measure for the item.
Oh, okay.
So like, for example, if you sell by pieces, but a customer says, I want a box of this. Okay, I can sell you a box. And then instead of scanning the item 20 times or something like that, I can just switch the unit of measure for that item. So
this can be used, well, all right. So therefore, you have a can of Coke. You can sell a can of Coke by itself. You can sell it as a 6-pack.
Yep.
Or you can sell it in a case of 24. So when you scan the item, because each one of them is the same barcode, so when you scan that, I've seen where the point of sale comes up with 3 boxes that allows the cashier to choose whether this is a can, a 6-pack, or case.
Yes.
Is that what the POS selection does?
Yes, it's allowed to switch the unit of measure, or it's allowed to not select that unit of measure.
Okay.
So there is another setting in here. There is a POS settings fast tab in here. Let me show you. And this controls how the POS, how this item is going to be, what is the behavior of this item on the POS. So like,
Right.
for example, in here, if you are going to use a weight for this, or a scale to weight the item, you have this scale item. This unit of measure pop up on POS is going to do what you just mentioned.
Right. Okay.
We enable this one, and we have like more than one unit of measure linked to this item. When we ring this item into the POS, it's going to prompt the user to pick the unit of measure.
Right. And then there's a different price associated with the unit of measure that you pick.
Yes, actually, it's going to be calculated. You can just do that, or you can just leave the unit price, and it's going to be multiplied the times the quantity that you have on the unit of measure.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yep.
These two also are important, because you can just say for this item, if you have the compression is like, for example, you are selling, and you're in a supermarket, you're scanning three different items, item A, B, and C, and you scan these three items, and then you have another item A, and then you scan the item A. If you want to compress that line into a single line with quantity 2 for that item, you can do that. Or if you want to skip the compression, this comes into play sometimes with promotions or with mix and match offers, or something like that, when you don't want to compress the lines and you want to keep the lines that you have on the receipt or on the journal to apply discounts or to apply promotions. So maybe if a can of Coke is damaged, or it is not like it should be, you can just apply a 10% discount for that single can.
Right.
So if you want to do that kind of procedures, but it is like you can always control everything regarding the item from here, or how the item is going to behave on the POS.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's move forward. So this was like, well, my intention in this item, let me just go back. This item, it was to show you that you can just set up additional unit of measures, but you have to specify how many of the base unit of measure, how many pieces in this case are going to be needed to build a box, or how many pieces are going to be needed to a pallet, or how many boxes for a pallet, or something like that. So you need to create the relationships between the unit of measure and the base unit of measure, based on what unit of measure you are going to use for purchasing, like, for example. Then let me just go back here to the PowerPoint to see what is next. Well, this is Rapid Start. We're going to skip this. Basically, it's like the language code on the Rapid Start. If you are not using 1039, which is Iceland, if you're going to use the Icelandic language, you need to just add a folder on the Microsoft Office to use that and use that language code for importing your items or anything. Most of the times we never change English, so we don't need to do that. But you have the option on the Rapid Start packages. You can set up the language code for your templates, so you can export the data in Spanish and English or whatever, and you can use it also to import the information into the database.
All right, so this is a little bit important because of our customer in Puerto Rico. Because, you know, Puerto Ricans don't speak Spanish, they speak Spanglish. So if you look at their items, sometimes the items are in Spanish, sometimes the items are in English. If you choose that, it just allows the data entry to be in Spanish, or it converts screen labels to Spanish.
No, it not converts the screen or anything. Actually, it's only for the values that you are going to import. Like to allow, like maybe some special characters
All right, for the accents.
Yeah, accents or something like that. That's
Okay.
the only thing.
Okay.
Okay, and then
So
we have, go ahead.
So this is for rapid start data.
Yes, actually it's only the language on the rapid start. And well, how can we use rapid start to import data into the database?
Right.
So it is like, I'm not going to spend much on that. But the thing is that right now, barcode setup, again, with barcodes. And this is like the main reason why we always recommend to use barcodes, because you can have like the same item to be provided or to be sold by a different vendor. And also the item may have different barcodes. So if they have different variants or different units of measure, and if they have barcodes for different units of measure, maybe for warehouse, we can handle that on retail items. So we have the possibility to add as many barcodes as we want for an item. So we don't have any restriction. The only restriction we have is that the item might not be, it should not be, must not be the same as the item ID. That's the first rule, I will say. And the next one is that you cannot have the same barcode for more than an item. So if you have the barcode 12345 for item A, you cannot have the same barcode 12345 for item B.
Right. And that's okay because barcodes are registered, so they should be unique.
Yes, they should be unique. And well, there is a validation. In here, yes, there is a validation that prevents the user to do that. So when you want to add a barcode that already exists in the database, it's going to prompt the user saying that the barcode might not be added because there is already a barcode in the database with that ID.
So there's a practice in a lot of retail stores where the vendor might have a barcode for produce, fruit and produce, but you don't have barcodes generally on fruit and produce. And usually it's not pre-weighed. It's actually taken to the scale and weighed at the point of purchase.
Yep.
Therefore, most retail, instead of putting a 13-digit, 16-digit barcode, they put a small 4-digit.
Yeah, we have like this, well, how LS Retail works, you can define a weight barcode. So let's say that one of your scales prints for you a barcode for an item. Let's say that you're going to buy ham, and if you go and buy half pounds of ham,
right,
you put it in a scale, and then you weigh the item, and then that scale prints a label for this item with a barcode. So in that case, you can configure an item in LS Retail to be a weight barcode. So in that case, you're going to scan that barcode on the POS, and you don't have to weigh the item. On the other hand, if you want to weigh the item at the POS, you must have this item to be a weight item. There is a flag on these POS settings. And then in there, you should have, like, for example, type in the item number, like these 5 digits, 430. And the item is, and the POS is going to prompt you to weigh the item. So then you can just place the item on the scale that is attached to the POS, and the weight is going to be calculated, and then it's going to be sent to LS Retail, and the price is going to be calculated. Right. So, but you have to type in the ID of the item at that level or in that process. Not a barcode, but also you may have a barcode as well, but well, it all depends on how do you want to handle that. Or if your scales are going to be integrated with LS Retail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So here it says that only one barcode is displayed. So this is like basically what is the barcode that you want to display for the item on the item card. That's it. And that barcode is also displayed on the item list, as you might see here. If I go to the retail item list, oh, I missed the R. Retail item. If you go to the retail items, you might see that there is a barcode in here on these lines. This is the barcode that is marked or is ticked to be displayed for the item. But that, however, you might look for any barcode on this item. So let's say that I have like this 420. I think that this is one of the best examples to show you this. This item has variants, and each variant has a barcode. So this barcode that is displayed in here, it's only one barcode. I don't know which variant, or I don't know which unit of measure or anything. But as you might see here, there is a barcode mask linked to this item. This is the prefix of this barcode. Then it's 5699 number and a check digit at the end. So this barcode, it is a barcode of one of the variants that we have for the item. But if I want to look for one of these, these were created, I think that maybe using this copy cell. This is not, these barcodes are not displayed for the item on the item card. So if I go back here to the retail item list and try to look for a barcode, let me just remove the filter, yep, and then just place in a different place. Then hit find barcode and just scan my item and hit OK. This is going to point me to the correct item. You see? Even though the barcode is not displayed in here, it's going to look for my barcode on the barcode tables, and it's going to point me to the correct item. Even the barcode is not displayed for the item. You see?
Yep.
Well, basically, this is, well, show for item, etc. Unit of measures for barcode. You want to handle unit of measures for the barcodes. And basically, the exercise it was to create a new barcode for a backpack item. And insert barcode by action item barcode or select the barcode number field. Another thing that I missed when creating an item is that you have, like, remember these templates? There is another feature that allows you to copy the settings from an item to create a new one. So this insert new item defaults. If you go back to here to product design, there is an item default settings shortcut, this one. So in here I can create new default settings for the creation of new items. So in this case I have these three: audio, beverages, and clothing, and they use a default item as the template. So in here you can predefine some things, like for example, if you are going to use variants, or the default distribution is going to be used for the item that is going to be created. And we are going to use this item as the template item. So everything that is set up for this item is going to be copied over for my new item. So I can just create this just to ease the creation of items. And when creating a new item, I can go here to retail items and go to insert new item defaults, this option that we have already here. Wait a minute. Okay, new item defaults. It's going to display a list of my defaults. So I can just use this one, clothing. Hit OK. It's going to open. As you might see here, it says, do you want to update the unit of measure with the defaults from men S? I'm going to say yes. These are like the validations that have to run because you are copying the information from one existing item to a new one. And then it should prompt the item. It's a little bit slow. I don't know what happened. it's working. Sorry, but I don't know what happened. It is slow today. I don't know why. Come on.
Roberto, it's almost 2 o'clock. You want to take a break now and maybe reset or restart the machine, the virtual machine, and see if that speeds it up?
Yeah, that will be, well, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Let's
so
go
let's
back
take a break a little bit early and we meet back, I don't know, 10 past?
Yep.
Yeah, it gives you enough time to restart the machine and everything?
Yeah, yes, please, yep.
Okay, great.
Okay. Talking about barcodes, then I skip to the default. I insert new defaults for an item. So this was when everything just went down. But basically, it is like just to copy from a template item to a new item, and that's it. So it is nothing, or nothing else than that, you know? It is just to pick the defaults from an item and then use an item as a default item and create a new one. But then let's continue with this, the item variant setup. As I mentioned yesterday, well, as you might remember, is you can have up to 6 different dimensions for an item, and everything is handled with something that we call or name variant framework. And this variant framework can be assigned to the items or even to the product groups. So if we have it on the product groups, once we set up the product group for the item, when we are creating a new item, and it's going to automatically populate the variant framework for that item, and it's going to prompt for variants, or depending on our setup, is going to ask us to specify the combinations that we want to be valid for that item. And on the item card, we have this field variant framework. And in there, we specified what is the variant framework that we are going to use. And basically, we first need to set up the framework. But in LS Retail, we have the variant framework codes, or the base values. So if you go to LS Retail back office, product design, and then go to variant framework code setup, you might see here that you have like children, coffee, fuel, men, etc. And we have like all these different frameworks. But before doing any combinations or any framework setup, the first thing that you need to make sure is that you have the base values. And the base values are basically like the dimensions that you want to use for your items or for your combinations. In here, we have colors, and we have like sizes and styles. And these are like the default or the demo data for these codes, or for these values, or the base values that we can be able to use for combinations. So as you might see here, we have like, well, some examples of colors that we can use. And there are some other fields that will allow us to define how this is going to be managed when we create a framework. And these fields will be inherited on the framework setup. So this is, the logical order is going to sort the colors, or is going to sort these values when creating the framework. And we have like these hard attributes that are predefined as hard attributes for an item. So when we have an item, or we use these framework-based values, which is color, 2 of the hard attributes that will be set for that item, or for those items that belongs to this framework code, are going to be color family and color shade. So we can predefine some hard attributes on the variant framework, but these are like the base values. These are going to be like the base, so we can create combinations or frameworks from here. So in here, we can add more colors or whatever we want. And then we can predefine or create our combinations. So let's say that these are like the bases or the base values for all frameworks that we are going to build. So we can have like sizes from 1 to whatever, and large, extra large, and all sizes that we can handle or we want to handle on the frameworks. And here the value type, it says default or optional. So this is going to be used when creating the variants for the item. And we also have this variant weight, that the variant weight is going to allow us to give a weight for that specific variant. So let's say that we have an item that we buy in 2 different colors. One of the color is black and the other one is maybe brown, but maybe the most used is black, or the color with a higher weight is going to be, or the higher priority is going to be black. So we can say that for color black, we're going to have a weight. We can specify it, like, for example, 10, 20, whatever value that we want, and the variant weight is going to be calculated, the percentage, so we cannot over 100%. So these are like the fields, or the fields that are going to control how these values are going to be used when creating the frameworks. So basically these are like the bases or the base values, right? So we have color, sizes, styles, etc. So we can, yes?
Is there functionality behind that weight?
Yes, yes.
Or is that just for reporting?
No. It's for, like, for example, if you have a weight for an item that is, let me just add something in here. So like, for example, black have 50%, 50 or 50, if this is my weight. And as you might see here, it's the 100%, right? So if I set brown as 25, so this was split and it was calculated to be 100%, right? So in here, I am just saying 50 as weight and 25 as weight for this other color. And the variant weight is going to be this, right? 66% and 33%. So that, what that means is if we are going to buy an item and we don't have collections or anything for that item, we are going to use the weight to calculate the variants that we are going to ask for that item on those variants. So let me just go
for
with
replenishment then.
Sorry?
For replenishment?
For manual replenishment, we can say it because it's when you create a purchase order manually. This comes into play only when you create the purchase order manually. They are not taken in care with replenishment. Okay. And then, like, for example, for sizes, we can say, like, maybe we have large, extra large, medium, etc. So let me just add some weights in here. Let me just say 10, 10, 10, maybe 20 in extra large, right? So we have this, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is to create a framework, a new framework that is going to combine colors with sizes. So when I go here to the variant framework setup, I can create a new one. I am going to call it LRiddle. Description, whatever. Sorry. And then in here, as you might see, you have 2 options, automatic or automatic selection. When you set up the variant framework as automatic, the system is not going to prompt the user to pick what combinations will be created for the item. If you pick automatic selection, the variants that are going to be displayed will allow the user to pick which combinations they want to use for that item. So here we have a suffix for the variants, so we can have, like, it is recommended to use, or in the demo database or in the demo data, we have like 000 as the first one. And then it's going to create, for each combination, it's going to increment this field by 1. So if we have, like, for example, the first combination is going to be 0000, and the next one is going to be 1, 001, 002, 03, and so on and so forth, right? And then we can specify a barcode mask for this item. We can say we are going to create also barcodes for this item for each variant. So I can say this is my barcode mask, and the barcoding is going to be manually, it will be manually entered, or it's going to be the default one based on this mask. So I can use a mask, and each barcode is going to start with this prefix, and this is going to use the number of item or number series, and then a check digit. And then the usage of stop keeping units, we can say that we're going to use stop keeping units for the item on the stores or none. I am going to pick none for now. And use pop-up window is to prompt the window, so the user is going to see the variants. Okay. So in here under combinations, I am going to specify what are my base values that I'm going to use. So once I pick color, let me just hit OK. Once I pick color and move to the next one, as you might see, there are no fields in here. There are no variant values for this dimension, color. And then I'm going to add size, color and sizes. Okay, these are the two ones that I'm going to use. So color and sizes. What colors? I'm going to go here to get variant values. It's going to display the colors that I have available to pick from the base values. I'm going to pick black and brown, which are the two ones where I specified a weight. Sorry, I hit OK. I need to pick the colors and then create variant values. Go to this function in here. So create variant values, hit OK. And now these two colors are valid for my combinations. And as you might see here, the logical order is how these variants are going to be displayed for my item when creating that item. So if I go to size and then get variant values, again, I can just sort by value. I was using extra large, small, medium, and large. I'm going to go create variant values and then hit OK. And these are my available variants. So as you might see here, I have this variant weight, 10, 10, 10, 20. And on the other one, I have like this 50, 25. So the weight is going to be calculated when creating the variants for the item. So for those variants with color black are going to be a higher weight upon the brown variants or the combinations with brown. And for sizes, they are going to combine this weight to calculate a new weight for that combination. Okay, so the one with the highest priority is going to be the extra large. So right now I have these combinations or this framework that I'm going to use, which is called LSRiddle. So I can link or attach this variant framework to an item. I am going to use my item, the item that I created manually, that it was accessory audio or something like that. So I'm going to go back to Riddle items. This is Roberto 1. I am going to go here to the variant framework code, and I'm going to pick LSRiddle. Once I do that, if I hit tab on my keyboard or go to a different field or something, this is calculating the variant combinations for this item. So as you might see here, I have black extra large, black large, black medium, and all possible combinations between the dimensions on my framework. So I can select all and then create the variants for this item. And what it's going to do is going to create variants for this item with these combinations, and it's going to number these variants starting by 000 and then 001, 002, etc. And then if I go to variants in here on the retail item card, this working on it. As you might see here, the barcodes were created based on the mask that I linked or I set up on the framework. The variant codes, and these are like the descriptions on each. And if you go to the right, you can see the weight for each. So if I go now and create a purchase order for this item, which has variants, and I do not specify a variant for that item, and I just say I'm going to buy 100, based on the weight, the system is going to calculate the quantity to ask. Okay? So let me show you that really quick. And as you see, the barcodes were created, the barcode mask was automatically populated in here, and everything was Okay, so if I go to retail purchase orders, create a new one. From which vendor? I don't remember what vendor. I'm going to use any. So Progressive Home Furnitures. I'm going to buy this for store number 1. And my item is one of the first one, Roberto 1. So if I don't specify what variant I am going to buy for this item, oops, sorry. I just click on the 3 dots just to draw down. If I just say I'm going to buy 100 of this item, the system, based on the weight that I have on the variants, is going to calculate the quantity to ask. And as you might see, black, the color black has a higher weight. So it is asking for 27 black extra large and 13 large, 13 medium, 13 small, etc., etc. Okay, so that is how weight works for this kind of item with variants. If for any reason, if I hit OK, this is going to be automatically saved, and it's going to assign these variant combinations for that item, and I'm going to buy 100 of these. Let me just go back to the item card. In here, under the variants, the weights in here, let me just go to the right, cannot be edited. You know, I cannot modify the weight for this. But if I remember correctly, if I go to the variant framework code, is LF-Retool, and update the fields or the weight there, I think that I can modify the weight for each variant. Let me see, because I cannot remember. Yes. So if I go here and I say, I did it wrong. It was 25 here, and the other one was 45. It was the other way around. And then I hit refresh item settings. Yes. This, if I remember correctly, is going to update the weight for all items with this framework. So if I go back to my item, in here, if I check variants, as you might see here, the variant weight was updated. You see it? So if I go back to my retail purchase order, and I just remove this line. Yes. And add it again. Oh, that's one. This one. And I say I'm going to order 100. Hit enter on my keyboard. You see how this was calculated again, and it was distributed based on the weight. Are you following me?
Yes.
I am.
Oh, okay. Well, this is basically how it works. If this, there is another way that I like a lot, actually, and this is more for shoe stores or for shoe companies. And this is like the collections that it was the one that I was mentioning, I was talking about at the beginning. And
before I hit collection.
Okay.
So when you do this, we're looking at the purchase order side of it.
Yep.
And you also said that you can produce barcodes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to help you reduce the proper inventory according to size and color.
Correct.
Using that barcode.
Exactly. You can do that, or when you are at the POS, if you type in the item number, the system is going to prompt the user to pick which variant is going to be sold.
Okay. And which is the preferred way that most customers do it?
With barcodes.
With barcodes, because they don't want to leave the mistake up to the cashiers.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right.
Let me show you this collection function because I like it, just not because it is in here. But basically, you have to create a new unit of measure. Well, not from here. I'm going to go to here, navigate. And groups and links, I think. No, what it is. PS. No. What it is. I think that it should be done from, yes, from here, I think. There is an access, there is an entry that says collection. I think that it's in here now. Maybe under home. Collection, I don't see it. Maybe here. What it is. Maybe here. Yes, it's in here. Okay, so in here, if you go to collection, you can pick a collection unit of measure. So in here, I'm going to hit new and pick the existing one, which is called collection. And in here, I am going to say 25, right? It does not matter how many do I put in there, because if I go here, I can predefine, like, for example, every time that I buy a collection, I'm going to buy 12 black large or large black, 15 medium, and this. And this is going to update my unit of measuring here. I am having right now 47. So if I go back here, I will see that, well, 42. I don't do math. So correctly. So in here, as you might see, I have 42. So if I hit OK in here, I am predefining this amount or these quantities. So if I go back to the retail purchase order, I buy the same item, I add the same item in here. Oh, this is not the one. Same item in here. And before quantity or adding something, I switch the unit of measure to the collection and specify one collection. This is going to pick the predefined quantities I put in the collection. So if I hit OK in here, you will see that the collection is calculated and is adding those variants. And in here, I only have one collection for this item. Main difference between this retail purchase order page and the NIV page is that, as you might see here, the type was updated because this is an item with variants. So in order to display the information in a compressed mode or in an easy way for the user to check how many of each item the buyer is going to order, the lines are compressed because I am buying variants of this item. So if I open this same purchase order on the NIV page, on the NIV purchase order page, I am going to see this as a header, and for each variant, I'm going to have a record. Actually, this is only a page that displays this in a compressed mode. But we are working with purchase order, with NIV purchase orders. There are some features in the retail purchase order that are not present on the NIV one, and some others that are not present on the purchase orders from NIV into the retail one. Let me just show you the purchase orders. This purchasing, planning, purchase orders. This one. Yes. The last one. Just wanted to show you because sometimes it is not easy to understand what is the difference. So this is the same purchase order, but if I look at this order from the NIV page, you will see that I have the same item. And as you might see here, I have this item as a header, and these are all the items with variants. So I can display in here or add the variant column. So it will be easier for me to know. Where this? Oh, it's in here. Sorry, it was displayed in here. So I am going to buy 14 of this variant, 7 of this variant, and etc., etc. So as you might see here, the NIV purchase order displays all lines, and on the other one, we only have like this summarized line for this item.
So
okay.
How is it printed? Because the vendor is not going to know what your internal variant code is.
That's it. Let's open the printer preview. Print preview, what it is, navigate. There are some standard reports with this. Post and print order. Preview. This is an LS Retail report. I think that it's NIV merged with some LS Retail customizations, if I remember correctly. I think that in the printer view, it is displayed with all variants and everything. This is a standard one. It is like the same that we have in NIV, but we are not displaying the variant. I cannot remember if there is a checkbox or something, but maybe we need to add the variant code in here.
Yeah, because if that goes to a vendor,
yeah,
it makes no sense.
Yep, I think so. Yep.
Okay, so we're saying that there's a separate user interface or window between NAV purchase orders and retail purchase orders.
Correct.
But you're also saying that there's a separate form, printed form, for retail purchase orders and NAV purchase orders?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, there are different reports. Actually, as you might see here, there are some, the same as the item, there are some tabs in here that contain some retail information, retail specific information that are not present on the NIV purchase order. And on the NIV purchase order page, there are some other things. Actually, if you are on the retail, on the NIV purchase order, I think, if I am remember correctly, I think that even though you are adding the same item and you want to have the matrix to be prompt when adding the item, like I was doing it on the retail purchase order, if I type in here 25, the same thing that I did in the other one, I think that the matrix is not prompt. So in here, I should be able to specify which variant I am going to buy. You see? These are little differences that make this work in a completely different way.
Can you slide it to the right? And let's just see the other column. Right, so even on this page, I can't see the combination.
This is the variant code, is here.
I know, but if I'm not familiar with the variant code, I want to see that this is a medium black.
Yes, like the description, right?
Yeah.
You're right. This one.
Or description also does.
No, but if you drill down, to the variant. If you drill down to this field, you can hit advanced, and then you can see it. But
then we can just add it to the grid, because then it'll be a description to the field.
Actually, no. Well, on the other one, well, that's why it is. Oh, sorry. That's why it is recommended to use a retail purchase order, because of the matrix. And on the matrix, you might see which color, which size you are going to order. You see? Because if a user opens the NIV purchase order and tells you that it's not displaying the matrix, well, that is because they are in the wrong place. You see? In here, if I do the same thing, the exact same code.
Okay, right, yeah.
If I go here, instead of specifying the variant code, I go here and just type in 25. This is going to open the matrix, and it's going to use the weight to distribute the item that I'm going to order.
Right.
And I can say, like, maybe not 4 black, I can say 5 instead of 4. And if I hit OK in here, it means that I am accepting this suggestion based on the weights. And then if I hit OK in here, it's going to add 26, not 25, which was the initial quantity that I just typed in. See? And in here, yes, it is a description too. In here, it's displayed. So maybe on the other page, I just need to add that field or something, but it all depends on what they are going to use. I will say that it will be recommended to use retail purchase order. So in that way, they all use retail item, retail purchase order, retail sales order, retail everything. Because if not, they are probably going to tell you that they are facing some issues because something is not populated or something is not working as expected.
Okay. But I'm still concerned that the print didn't come out to the vendor showing the
variant.
The descriptions, because, and then the other thing is, isn't there a vendor number that can be also displaying on the purchase order?
I think it was displayed the vendor number and the vendor details, like address and everything. I think that also we have like this send option. Let me see. I remember it was, no, I don't have Word there. Sorry, this is not going to work. But I thought that it was possible to email this as attachment, and it's going to use something. I don't remember exactly how we were doing this with some other customers, but actually I think that you have the ability to send this into an email as an attachment, or you can just export it to an email or something like that. And in that report, I think that it prints all these fields. I don't remember actually.
Okay.
Okay, well, basically, as you saw, and another important thing that I have to mention is that once you create a framework and you assign that framework into an item, if you want, for example, update that framework, if I go back to this departments, back office, product design, and I try to update this framework code that I created, which is LS Retail. If I try to add a new color, let's say that I want to add something, the system is preventing the user to do that.
Right.
Because you have already this assigned to an item. So you can break the integrity of these variants. That's why it does not allow you to do that. Mm-hmm. If you want to update the weight, you can do it. But if you want to add additional colors or additional sizes or whatever, you will need to create a new framework.
Okay.
Okay. Well, basically.
So that's basically being used for purchase orders.
And for sales, In the POS, when you do a sale for an item, the system prompts the user to specify which variant, unless the user scans the barcode.
Yeah.
And also is for inventory purposes. And when you do inventory and you do a count of an inventory, if you do an inventory count process, so if we go to store management, is store inventory worksheets. I think that it's the new one. Yes, store inventory worksheets. And if you do a count of an item, let me just do a counting for this item. So if I just hit edit journal, in here, well, I don't have variants in here. There is a setting that says show variants or whatever. But if you do the calculation of this, I think that it's under actions. No, this is not the one. No, this basically allows you to import an inventory file, and it is not an XML. It's a different format. I don't remember the format of this, but it allows you to import a file when you can specify the barcode and the quantity. So it allows you to import this into accounting journal. So in that journal, you can just check what you counted against the quantity that you have on the software or on the system. And then it does the adjustments for that. So right now in here, I thought that it was with variants in here on the counting journal, but the variant is not displayed in here. I think that I can add the variant in here manually, but I think that yes, it is in here. Let me just move it up. So in here, when you're doing accounting for an item, just close it and reopen it. You can have that item using barcodes. You can use this and the variant code 10. Oh, it was 010. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this one. 5 pieces. And then in here, as you might see, well, if I just hit OK, here, there is a new line for this item. So I have the variant. So I am going to adjust 5 pieces of that variant for this item into my location store 1. So, well, variants are everywhere, you know, in the inventory system. So,
yeah.
Well, can automatically create variants. This is the other way that I was telling you. I just when I configured the variant framework, there was an option to say automatic or automatically selection or automatic selection. If I just pick the other option that says automatic here, this is going to work in a different way. This variant framework is not going to show the variants. It's going to show the variants, but every variant is going to be checked. So I have to uncheck them. So this is like the registration type. And if that's the case, if I create a new item, let me just do it really quick. Create a new item and assign that framework. It's going to work in a different way when adding variants for the item. Oh, I just hit edit, sorry. So let me just create a new one. Okay. Same. Pieces. Framework. Ritual. So I just switched that instead of being automatic selection to be automatic. So right now, as you might see, nothing was asked to the user and all variants were created for the item. Is it? So no user interaction. So if we predefine the framework and we say you're going to build this in this color with these barcodes and et cetera, it's not going to allow the user to pick what variants to create or what variants or what combinations. Okay.
So at this point, before we assign it to an item or on a purchase order or anything like that, no, because we have assigned it to an item. Can we make a change before we have transactions on it?
Right now,
yeah.
The thing is that I have to remove this from here because I don't have any item letter entries or any inventory movements on this item. It is likely that I will be able to remove it. But as you might see here, there is a validation that says that there is at least a barcode. So I think that the only way possible to do that, if you are not using barcodes.
Oh, but you just created that.
Yes, and I can just remove the barcodes.
Oh, so you can remove. Okay.
So it is like, okay, I'm going to delete everything that I have linked to the variants before doing anything else. So let me just try again, because I never did that using barcodes. But when you don't have barcodes, it works. Right now, I don't know. Yes, I think that it should work because you don't have any entries. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
okay.
if you're checking here variants, you shouldn't have anything.
Yep.
Come on.
Okay.
There you go. And then you can just add a new framework or something, because the other one, remember that this one, LS Retail, it's linked to the other item that I already have.
Yeah.
So it is possible, but well, not so common, but it's possible to do that. Okay. So as we were checking the base values and these hard attributes, I didn't show you this, but basically we are going to check the attributes a little bit later. Well, actually, I think that it's the next topic. So I'm going to skip this and I'm not going to talk about the attributes. But basically the example or the exercise was to create base values, new base values, and then create a new framework code, if I remember correctly. Yes, with the combinations, as you might see here, is the same thing that we were checking. The framework setup. There is a reference to the combinations, both dimensions, color and sizes, two variant dimensions, etc. So I'm going to go to the next one. It's the same thing, variant frameworks. And then, well, this is to open POS and do a sale. Basically, it will be nice to show you because it's like only open the POS, show you how this item we created should work and should be able to be sold in a transaction. So I'm going to open the LSNAP start, this retail electronic. It opens a new session because, as I mentioned, it uses the 32-bit client. So that's why it is opening a new session. In the meantime, I can just go back to my item. This one, I'm going to copy a barcode just to show you how this works. So first, let's say that you are not using barcodes for variants, or well, you have barcodes in variants, but you don't know what is the barcode, or for some reason you can scan the barcode or something like that. But in the label that you have the item number. So let's say that you have the item number printed on the label of the item. So if you type in the item number, once you type in the item number, it's going to prompt the user to pick which variant is going to sell. This is a pop-up window. There is another way to display this, but right now, how the system is configured for this store is to open a pop-up window instead of a lookup window. This is a pop-up, right? So from here, I can pick what variant I'm going to solve. So if I pick this one, I'm going to solve black medium. And as you might see here in the description, I can see that I am selling this item with this description on this variant. Okay, if I scan my item, my barcode, and hit enter, I think that it is not the same one. I am selling this item in color black in small size. Okay, so it is not prompting the user to specify the variant. So once you scan the barcode, it works, and that's it.
Yep, that's good. Mm-hmm.
And then if I hit total and hit cash, I should be able to sell this. But as you might see, I didn't specify any price for the item. That's one of the things that I missed to do.
It's free.
So I can sell zero price, yes.
All right, so the other question I was going to ask was if the compression,
yep.
If you had ticked compression there, that would all appear on one line?
If it is the same variant?
The variants?
Yes, if it's the same variant, yes. That's it.
It's the same variant, it will. Mm-hmm. If they're different variants, they will still be separated.
Right now, as you might see here, the compression is not enabled for this store.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not compressing the same item, even though I scanned it twice.
Right, okay.
But also I have like this setting on the example that I was just looking, well, I was talking about yesterday, that it was like to print the item twice. So I just added a post action and it's printing this pre-receipt, like as a copy or something like that. But if this is like not the way you want, you always have like this. I added this button in here actually, just to show you that. So if I hit in here copy, it says that if I want to print the last transaction, and then I can just print a copy of the item. And I also configured a key command or a fixed key. So if I hit F5 on my keyboard, it is doing the same thing if I was clicking in the button. So I am running the same. So there are some options. What I want to transmit in here is that there are some options to print a copy of the receipt. That it was something that we were talking about yesterday. Remember?
Yep.
Okay. So I just wanted to show you that. I'm going to point this transaction. It makes no sense to keep going in that. So, well, as you might see here, this is one important step. If you're not using ls start and you don't want to set up and keep open this button configuration on the ls start, remember that you have the possibility to edit the button and specify which POS is going to be open when you click on this button. You have this field in here, but in a standard project or in an LS retail project, it is likely that we are not going to use this because on a POS, they are not going to be opening more than one POS. They are going to be linked to a single one. So we are not going to use this terminal number, and this is not going to be open for the user to modify or to configure these buttons. So in that case, you need to specify it on your retail user to which store or POS terminal belongs. So if you go back to LS Retail here, under administration, there are some other paths or some other shortcuts to retail users. This is only one, but it is like the most common. It is like under retail administration, retail users. So in here, as you might see here, my user is super, and it is linked to this POS terminal. But because I am using LS Start and I have this button set up to open the terminal 22, this is why I am using the same user, but I am running a different POS. In a production environment, that's not going to happen. Actually, you are going to use only the LS Start to run the client with no parameters on the terminal. And the terminal is going to be defined by the POS terminal that you have set up on the retail user. Okay. So this is basically this slide. And then to sell items, you can enter the item number. You can scan the item number. And also you have the